This is the process shot. I'm Michael. I'm flashing back to the embarrassing years of my life, and I've seen Class of Nuke High, a horror comedy from Lloyd Kaufman and Richard W. Haines, made back in 1986. It is set at Tromaville High School, affectionately referred to as Nukem High, thanks to its location right next to the local nuclear power plant. Naturally, leaking waste materials cause strange changes within the students, whether it be poison resulting from contaminated water fountains, or the Honor Society becoming a group of drug-peddling juvenile delinquents. Speaking of drugs, the radioactive waste also finds its way into some marijuana planted outside of the power plant, which is then sold to students, eventually making its way to Warren and Chrissy, two young lovers at the school. Their exposure to this mutated strain leads to some exciting but dangerous side effects, not only for them, but perhaps the entire student body. Needless to say, this movie knows that its own premise is insane and doesn't shy away from seeing how far it can take it. Much of the story is dedicated to building this toxified world in one way or another, initially making light of nuclear energy and human error, before expanding upon just how this incompetence affects everybody. It does know well enough not to take itself seriously, of course, and so the rest of the film's energy is dedicated to good old-fashioned teenage sex comedy antics. The combination of the two, and the natural absurdity that results, works very well, creating a world where characters seem only casually concerned about the dangers around them, despite witnessing or undergoing the extreme nature of their effects. The overall focus on comedy and the pastiche of teen movies is especially what drives the film forward more than anything else, as does the absurd nature of the story and its escalation. Even the lack of any strong development for characters or even any reasonable explanation for what occurs is fine, simply because of how strongly the movie latches onto its comedic vibe and rolls with whatever works. That idea is probably why it also puts a great amount of its focus on special effects. It certainly does more than enough to emphasize the negative effects of radiation poisoning with grotesque body transformations and projectile emissions that oversell that message. In a good way, I mean. The general makeup and costuming is very much in tune with characters' individual styles, effectively displaying what sector of high school society they live within, as well as preventing characters from seeming interchangeable, even if they're only minor parts with few or no lines at all. The movie's other technical elements create an often dynamic presentation, with something or someone in motion just about every moment of the film, and always having its focus on whatever needs to be seen, though it does also know how to frame a shot to add suspense, even if you know what's coming next. Editing keeps the overall film moving at a quick pace, never losing sight of the action within a shot or between scenes. While the greater attention seems to be put more on the effects and makeup, the overall production is very much attuned towards a hyper-stylized world of mayhem and anarchy, with the story itself meeting that tone so solidly that it's easy to get lost in how fully fleshed it all feels. Class of Nukem High, Lloyd Kaufman, Richard W. Haines, 1986. 4.5 stars. I definitely recommend checking it out. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you have something to add, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Maybe I should be glad I had a normal high school experience compared to what goes on in this movie. Then again, I probably would have had more friends at this place. At the very least, I would have gotten out a lot more often.